Good evening, everybody. It is Friday, September the 13th. Friday the 13th. I'm student meteorologist Lauren Bisson.
I'm student meteorologist Nikki Perini. First up, we did want to make a correction. As of yesterday's show, Dr. Dudley, who we were talking about, who had passed away, actually passed away on the 11th, not the 9th. We just want to make sure we had that correction going into today's show.
That's right. But in other news tonight, another sad story. Unfortunately, the Jersey Shore in New Jersey, part of it was just ravaged by Hurricane Sandy when it came through last October. And again today, unfortunately, there was a very large fire that consumed a lot of the boardwalk and the seaside park there.
Exactly. And with that destruction that just happened last fall, it's almost crazy to see it happen a year later.
That's right. And Governor Chris Christie just was basically devastated. The entire community is devastated because it did just happen. It's brand new wood, and that's actually some of what contributed to the fire.
Exactly. We had 400 firefighters out there fighting that flame, and luckily, you know, they were all safe, which is always very good.
Exactly. All the firefighters were safe. They got it 95% contained as of this morning, but there were some very strong southwesterly winds that once one shop caught fire, it just took that fire all the way down the boardwalk, and unfortunately it looks like the damage is pretty severe.
Exactly. Very, very unfortunate. Like we said, we do want to go ahead and throw things over to the wall, looking at the overview with our student meteorologist, Casey.
So much. In our forecast and in the upcoming, there are chances of rain for the weekend that we'll keep our eyes on. The tropics are a factor in the forecast as well, not really for our weather, but in terms of the Atlantic Basin, and also that all-important game day forecast. Will there be a chance of rain in that? Now, locally right now on the radar, we see that there are some outflow boundaries. We could see a few very isolated showers, but not expecting too much. It's going to be a good evening across our area. Now, in terms of those current temperatures outside, right now we see 92 in Tallahassee, a little bit cooler near the coastal regions, 88 degrees in Carabel and 89 degrees in St. Mark's. But tonight, 71 degrees. It'll be a pleasant night as those clouds start to fade later on. Wind's not too much of a factor. And tomorrow, 92 degrees. We'll keep an eye on that forecast for those isolated showers and maybe bring a poncho to the game. But right now, we'll take it back over to Nikki and Lauren.
Thank you so much, Casey. In other news, something pretty cool, NASA has a new study they're wanting to do. They have these really cool robots, and they're looking to reel on in some asteroids in order to study them.
It's actually pretty cool. NASA has the goal to get an asteroid and actually get some astronauts to study it by 2025, and it looks like they're getting a little bit closer. They have those robots you were talking about.
Very cool.
And they're going to lasso an asteroid.
I mean, I think that's a great idea. Once they do lasso it, they're hoping it'll stay in the moon's orbit so they can go off to the moon, study the asteroids. They have 3 that they're looking at right now, one of them being 23 feet wide, which is actually quite small for an asteroid.
We think of about 23 feet wide. That's roughly the size of a regular single-family house.
Exactly.
That's a very small asteroid.
Very small asteroid, but still, what a cool concept to be able to lasso them on in and study them.
It is. It's pretty cool, and they're actually looking at one that they can take oxygen samples from and water samples from, which is really, really cool. Try to study what these things are made of and what kind of threat they might eventually pose to the U.S. or to the U.S. and to the Earth, and what we can do about it.
Very cool. Once again, really great stuff for NASA, but we're going to go ahead and send it back out to the wall now with Troy.
Alrighty, thank you ladies at the desk, and let's get right into today's almanac for you guys. 93 degrees was our high temperature today in the capital city, so once again, very, very warm. Right above our average this time of year, 89 degrees. And look at that, our record was 99 degrees, so still hot, but fortunately not nearly as high as it was back in 1991. But in the meantime, as you look ahead at your weather headlines, let's just touch on base what's going to happen. We do have the chance for rain across the weekend. Tropics are heating up with Ingrid, newly formed, and still Humberto out in the Atlantic. But we'll have a check in your game day forecast because unfortunately, we do have the chance for rain on game day, and we'll have more on that later on. But as far as the current temperature is concerned, it's still very warm across the capital city, 92 degrees, with dry conditions, in fact, but on a Barter scale, still more warmth across the Big Bend region, 92 degrees, and Tallahassee, look at that, a little bit warmer towards Bainbridge, 95 degrees, so you know the story, folks. It is hot and muggy out there. And speaking of mugginess, as we look ahead towards your dew point temperatures, and remember, dew point is a good indicator as to how much moisture there is in the atmosphere, and our dew points are sitting in the 60s, so still a little bit on the muggy side, but not nearly as humid as we've been seeing over the past week or so. When dew points get into the 70s, that means that humidity levels are very, very impressive. But in the meantime, looking ahead at your local radar across the Tallahassee region, not a lot of action, so to speak, with the exception of a little bit of pop-up showers associated with the outflow boundary. But in the meantime, as of right now it stands, not a lot of rain, so to speak, in the near future. But now, this is where things get real interesting, folks, as we look ahead at your timeline for the weekend. You see this cold front right here that is draped across the southeast region. As we extend out your futurecast out towards Saturday, that cold front will begin to sag southwards towards our region, and that will bring the chance for showers and thunderstorms, and just in time for game day, folks. So I know that's not what you want to hear, but you will have to deal with it, so just make sure that you have an umbrella in just case you're all out going to the game. But in the meantime, sticking out our futurecast a bit further, that will eventually begin to make way for high pressure as it sags southward, and we'll see mostly cloudy conditions, mostly clear conditions, just in time for Sunday. But we still will run the risk for some showers because our cold front will begin to stall just as it makes southward, so that will still linger our rain chances in the near future going into your Sunday. But beach forecast, if the college students if you couldn't get tickets, go to the beach, because even though it's going to be rainy, just why not enjoy the beach? Because I know you college students just love to get out and have fun near those waters. Winds will be light at that, cool surfs at 1 feet. So if it's not raining when you're going to the beach, go out and surf, and ooh, that's just so fun, guys. Or boat and forecast, if you want to fish, light winds at that also, still a little ways in that. But moving on towards tonight's forecast, 71 degrees, another pleasant night. Tomorrow's forecast, 92 degrees, still warm. Extend out towards your 7-day forecast. Again, each and every day will bring the chance for showers and thunderstorms with low temperatures in the low 90s to upper 80s. But Daphne, it's hot in Tallahassee. Can we say the same for the southeast?
Well, I think we can, Troy. We have sunshine. In fact, we have high pressure really dominating the southeast here, giving us a lot of sunshine. In fact, you probably noticed clear skies as you woke up this morning, and that really persisted all day here. And a closer look here, satellite and radar, not much in terms of rain or showers for you. But as you notice, we have this line to our north here, and that is an upper level disturbance that is giving some showers to the north of us. Okay, so current conditions as you sit down for dinner here, by the number here, 91 in Tallahassee. You can actually see where this cold front is draped to the north of us, really separating the warmer from the colder temperature. So jumping from 81 to 91, that is a clear line of those storms there. Okay, so dew point, this is indicative of the moisture in the atmosphere, and as you can see, 63 degrees in Tallahassee, really helping with those hair days, ladies. On this Friday, we had no sticky conditions or bad hair days all across the board here. Water vapor here showing us upper levels of the atmosphere where you see the moisture, and as you can see over us, not much in terms of moisture. Only to our north, we have a little bit of the moisture like I mentioned earlier. And here's the big picture here. We have high pressure currently situated over us, and what's going to happen is it's going to come down. This cold front is going to work its way down and give us that shower or two tomorrow for your game day forecast. But hey, there's no downpours in the forecast, so not a bad day to call it outdoors. In fact, if you want to take it out to the beach, not a bad day to call it a beach day. Light wind for you, and if you don't go to the game, not a bad plan B plan. Okay, now plan B plan. On the water here, not a bad day for you to take out the boat either. We're talking partly cloudy skies, and if we do have those showers, it is going to be isolated. So not too much in terms of showers. Now tonight's forecast, if you want to call it an outdoors Friday night here, 70 degrees is what you can expect in Tallahassee. 75, a little bit warmer for you along the East Coast, and 77 here in Miami. So a little bit warmer for you and those Miami South Beach goers. Now tomorrow's forecast, a lot like today, folks. We're talking heat here all across the board. We're talking mid-90s in Tallahassee. All across South Florida here, we're talking high heat in the picture. So we're actually going to take it back to the desk now and talk about some flooding, something we don't have here in Tallahassee.
And no flooding here in Tallahassee, but one of the biggest stories across the country right now just happens to be the flooding that's happening in Colorado. And we have a special guest tonight with us on the phone from the University of Colorado in Boulder, and she lives just off campus. We have some on the eyewitness reporting here now. Rochelle, how much rain have you gotten recently?
It's varying across the area, but some places have been getting from anywhere from 5 to 9 inches of rain just yesterday, and that's on top of many inches of rain since Monday. So accumulation probably, in the tens of inches of rain.
Okay. And am I correct in saying that the University of Colorado is closed right now?
Yeah, the university was closed yesterday and today, and also tomorrow it will be closed. There are about 40 buildings on campus that had water damage, and we don't know the extent of water damage, but we know we can't go on campus at the moment.
Is there any indication of when the campus will be getting back into session?
I have not heard any details yet, but I imagine they'll do everything they can to clear the roadways and clean up any water damage so that campus can start opening up on Monday. But as of now, we don't know when it will open.
All right, thank you. We hope everything dries out a little bit there in Colorado. We're going to go ahead and take it back for another national look with Braden.
All right, thank you guys, and thank you, Rochelle, for that insight of what's going on. We're going to get to Colorado in just a minute, but first, let's check out your temperatures going on around the nation. 70 in Albuquerque, 74 in Denver, basically cooler than the rest of the country, as you can see as I step out of the way due to that flooding. However, you can see up here, 77 in D.C., 58 in Detroit. That's an indicator of a cold front that just went through that's going to be coming down to our area tomorrow morning, unfortunately giving rain chances for your game day. Dew points sitting 40s, 50s, not too bad. Up near Denver and Albuquerque, it's still going to be raining, so the moisture is going to be high over there. So we're looking at that. Water vapor, again, you can see all this moisture over New Mexico, Denver, Colorado, so much flooding over there. Moisture coming into our area as well with that cold front. You can see dry air north of us where the cold front has already gone through. We'll go ahead and go into your national radar, again, where you can see rain still falling in New Mexico, Colorado. We'll go ahead and zoom into that. A little off from where we were expecting, Kansas City. Not much going on here. To the west is where you're going to see that rain in Denver, New Mexico, all those places where they've already gotten intense flooding. And unfortunately, even though the rain's lightening up, it's just adding more fuel to the flooding. We'll go ahead, there we go, moving into Denver. Again, rain's starting to fizzle out a little bit, not as heavy, but of course, Boulder just north of Denver, Colorado. Still getting a couple rain showers at this time. We'll go ahead back home, and you can see this line of storms right here. This is where moisture is moving in ahead of a cold front, unfortunately maybe giving rain chances to your game day weekend. Airport delays right now, again, really only in Colorado, about a 40-minute delay out in Denver. Looking into tonight's forecast, 53 in Kansas City, 55 in Denver. A little cooler out here, 43 in Detroit, 54 in Washington, D.C., while that cold front has already gone through. And you're still seeing those 80s out in the desert in Phoenix. Tomorrow, looking at 80s, a couple 90s down south, 97 in San Antonio, 93 in Dallas. Unfortunately, the rain continues for Denver. But Alex, let's go head back home, talking about cold front moving through for your game day.
Yes, well, not necessarily cold. The front is definitely moving in, but we're not going to see those rain chances. I mean, not going to see those temperatures drop. Excuse me, 92 was the high today. A little lower low, though, lower than our average of 69 degrees. And current conditions right now, still relatively hot, 91 degrees. The dew point, though, low, so it wasn't so muggy and uncomfortable out there for all of us in Tallahassee. Winds coming out of the south-southwest at 5 miles an hour. Current temperatures, what are we looking at? Relatively the same again, Tallahassee at 91 degrees. Bainbridge, once again, the warm spot with 95 degrees. And the trend's basically continuing throughout the tri-state area. A little further southwest, Apalachicola sitting at 88 degrees, cooler for them being so close to the shore. Current dew points, once again, relatively low in relation to the temperature. Once you start reaching up into the 70s and 80s, that's when it gets uncomfortable. So mainly comfortable dew point temperatures for the rest of the tri-state area as well. Current winds, there's not a definite wind pattern coming out. As you can see, winds mainly sporadic, but you can see a mainly westerly trend. Tallahassee at 5 miles an hour, Quincy at 3, Bainbridge at 7, 9s across the coast, but that's going to change when we get a little wind coming in from the northwest when our cold front begins to move in. Satellite and radar showing not much in the way of any clouds or rain for that matter. Relatively clear day. It's a perfect day to go out there, maybe relax at the pool, have a nice jog at Landis. Anything that involves rain-free days was a perfect idea for you. And satellite and radar a little further out, you can see the cold front with a lot of showers and thunderstorms starting to line up around mid to southern Alabama and Georgia. Those will be likely impacting us during the game day tomorrow against Nevada at 3:30, so it may not be a bad idea to bring an umbrella or, as Troy mentioned earlier, a poncho, because any downpours are possible with these systems. And if you go down south, you could see a lot more rainfall associated with the sea breeze move into the middle of the state. going on now to our water vapor, you can clearly see this dip, and when this dry air is above the cold front, that's going to be pushing in, not really drying us up too much. We're still going to have a slight chance of rainfall, but all this green represents the moisture in the atmosphere, and that's going to give us those elevated chances for tomorrow going into the weekend. Futurecast is going to show us a little clearer about what's going on. You can see this cold front that's mapped out right here. This cold front's going to start slowly drifting in. High pressure is going to be building in, and as the cold front drops, once again, rainfall is going to be the main threat. Not a big threat, only about a 30% chance for the day. And into Sunday, it's going to be a less cloudy, less rainy event, still around a less than 20% chance of rainfall, so it's always safe to bring an umbrella or poncho, even though it's Florida and it's starting to become fall. Really good idea to bring that in, and that rainfall is going to decrease and once again increase throughout the later on in the week, but I'm going to get to that in just a bit. 71 degrees is tonight's forecast. Tomorrow's forecast looking at a warm 92 degrees, likely going to be hotter if you're sitting in those bleachers, and our 7-day forecast, you're looking at those lows and highs begin to decrease as the week progresses, likely because we're getting closer to fall. Anyways, guys, how's it looking at the desk?
Well, we're going to take a quick look at the tropics now, and as of recently, our latest update on Tropical Storm Ingrid in the Gulf of Mexico is it's up to 45 miles an hour, but that's not the biggest story or the biggest threat, really, that it's going to present.
Yeah, unfortunately at this desk, it's flooding tonight. In some areas of Mexico, Ingrid is a slow storm moving just towards the northwest at just a few miles an hour towards the northwest, and it could bring 15 to 25 inches of rain in some spots to the Tampico and Veracruz area.
Yeah, it just really goes to show that when people see a tropical storm, they always look at the wind gauges or the pressure, but they don't really get an idea of how much damage that the rain and surge can do.
Yeah, and they've already had 2 tropical systems this year so far, and that fatality total before Ingrid is already at 21.
But right now, we're going to take an extended look at the tropics with Lauren.
Not the tropics, definitely the Sunshine State, but that's all right. What we did see today, though, a lot of sunshine, that's for sure. 85 in Tampa, 89 in Orlando, 80s to the south, but of course, Tallahassee in the 90s. So definitely was quite the scorcher. Was not that nice if you were walking around outside to class, but current dew points really kind of show just how dry it is, especially in Tallahassee. More moisture towards the south, but definitely did see that drier conditions for us right before this front does pass on through. Now, the satellite and radar really does show how dry we are, especially across the Big Bend. You see just a dry patch, but for most of the Florida state, you do see those pop-up showers. When that sea breeze did move on inward, they did get a little bit of moisture in the air, and some of those showers did go out and fall to the ground. I know some friends and family back in Tampa definitely got rained out today if they had their football game. So really, the rain stayed away from Tallahassee, but along most of the state. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at this water vapor imagery that you can see. That front that we were speaking of is right there. You can clearly see it all the way across Georgia right now and most of Alabama. That will go ahead and move down south into our location tomorrow afternoon right during game time. So yes, the possibility of a pop-up shower is there. Bring that poncho if you are headed out to the game, but until then, looking nice and dry until that front does pass on through. Here's what we're talking about now. This front we're seeing, it's right above us now to the north, remaining nice and dry for us, but that won't be for long. It's going to go ahead and scoot down to the south. High pressure is going to follow in behind, and showers for the game possible tomorrow into Sunday, and then drying back out as the week does progress, especially into that next work week. So make sure if you are heading outside, bring that poncho tomorrow afternoon. Sunshine will be expected afterwards, so hot right in the beginning with a little bit of cool down once that rain does pass on through. Let's go ahead and move on, though, to the Futurecast radar. Let's go and see what rain is in store for the remainder of the weekend. That rain will be pushing into Tallahassee and Jacksonville, moving on in, bringing in some moisture, bringing in some wetness. Make sure you bring that poncho like I said, and drying back out as the weekend does progress on. Now, for the beach, if you don't have a ticket to the game, looks like a great day to go out, less than 1 foot for the surf. And if you do decide to go and take that boat out on the water, looks pretty good too. So it's going to be a great day ahead. Tonight's forecast, cooling down just a little bit. 75 in Tampa, 70 in Tallahassee. Looking like a great day and warm again for tomorrow. So if you are going outside to that game, make sure you do put on that sunscreen. Are you going to be wearing sunscreen, Lauren? especially in the tropics?
I am going to be wearing sunscreen. I won't be, unfortunately, going to the tropics anytime soon, but we will start you off with your tropical update right now. Very active. You can see we've already added a couple more names to our list just in the past week or so. We have Ingrid as of this morning. Ingrid is actually officially a tropical storm down there in the Bay of Campeche. Umberto, not a hurricane anymore, but it could be re-strengthening. We'll take a look at, this is our hurricane climatology. This is where during the month of September we would expect the storms to go if they followed a normal path, if there was kind of a normal weather pattern going on. And you see these reds indicate the most likely path. We see a lot of these up the coast, actually going up to the north, a little bit in the Carolinas right here, but especially also the Gulf of Mexico and the North Florida region. That's something we need to look out for. Any storms that do develop, they do have the potential to make a U.S. landfall, especially in September. The satellite, though, is going to give you a good picture. This is currently Tropical Storm Ingrid. It was upgraded as of this morning. Looks very good on the satellite. Lots of thunderstorms near the center of it. That means it is on its way to strengthening just a little bit more. The waters in the Bay of Campeche are very warm, and that's going to help it strengthen just a tad. Here's your stats on it right now. Winds are currently at 45 miles per hour. It's strengthened a little bit as of the 5 p.m. advisory. It's still located in the Bay of Campeche, and we do not expect U.S. landfalls with this one. And there's your forecast track as it just goes into Mexico. Does not bother the United States. This is Tropical Storm Manuel. This is also a new tropical storm as of the 5 p.m. advisory from the National Hurricane Center. There's your stats on it. Winds very minimal at 40 miles per hour. Barely a tropical storm. But again, we expect it to strengthen, and we'll give you the forecast track there. There we go. It shifts up to the north and makes a quick landfall as it grazes the Mexican coast yet again. Unfortunately, Mexico is getting it from the east. They're getting it from the west. They're getting quite a bit of rain and showers from these tropical systems that keep on coming through. You can see Sunday morning, we're looking at winds of 60 miles per hour. Now, this is Tropical Storm Umberto. Tropical storm as of this afternoon. It's weakened slightly from its hurricane status. Winds, though, currently at 65, there we go, 50 miles per hour. It's weakened even as of the 5 a.m. advisory. We expect it to go ahead and weaken just a little bit more before I'll show you the forecast track. There we go. It's making its turn to the west, then it recurves to the north just a little bit. And we actually expect it to re-strengthen back into a Category 1 hurricane in the northern Atlantic. We'll go ahead and send it back to the desk, though, with Tawana and Alex.
Thank you very much, Lauren. So this far this summer, we've been talking about flooding, and so far today, we're talking about flooding, especially in Colorado. But in Florida, it has been the wettest summer on record for the past 3 years.
Especially for the week before school began. If you remember that deluge of rainfall we had throughout the entire week, it was cooler than usual, about 90-degree, a lot less 90-degree days reported, Also the fact that in Pensacola alone, we got over 34 inches of rain throughout the year. And how much more is that?
That is almost 14 inches above normal.
Of rain.
So far for the year.
That's over 2 feet. No, it's over 1 feet, But still a lot of rain. 1 foot's about this much, so definitely a greater impact for the city of Pensacola and the entire state of Florida.
And when we do talk about summer, we talk about June, July, and August. So those 3 months wetter than usual. So I bet you felt that and had your umbrellas out more than you usually have over the past summer months,
Yes, and speaking of umbrellas, it looks like we might have to keep those for the game. However, for now, let's bring it now to Pete with a look at your local segment.
Hey, thank you very much, Alex. I think rainfall is something we would welcome, especially on an afternoon like today. We were up to 93 degrees. That's above average. We're back into the average of about 89, so we saw the 90s yet again today. And our low last night was 68, so at least we've dipped into the 60s for our overnight lows, something that's welcome, especially after this warm summer. 91 currently at the airport, under partly cloudy skies. Dew point checks in at 63, so that is lower than it has been, so you might notice a little bit drier air across the region today. 91 again at the airport, 88 northwest of us in Quincy. The hot spot, though, Bainbridge, Georgia, 95 degrees at this hour, so definitely that heat is sticking around. Cold front, though, may give us a few little temperature ticks down into the 80s, but we'll wait for that next week. Moisture continues all across the region. We're actually one of the lower spots on moisture here in Tallahassee, but wherever you see green on this map, that means they're in the mid to upper 60s to near 70-degree dew points. That's moisture in the air, and that'll probably be on the uptick when we bring in that front to enhance our rain chances. No rain to speak of right now, but you do see a little bit of a sea breeze. This is not hitting the ground, but this shows the onshore flow moving up from the Gulf, and that's pushing into Monticello, so a little bit of relief. Unfortunately, no rain to speak of. It's all part of our Futurecast model, which brings this cold front, which is draped through the southeast. The high pressure dominating behind it, and that just sags southward over our region into the day on Saturday. So unfortunately, right around game time is when that appears to be coming through. It'll bump our rain chances up to 30%, so not exactly a washout, but maybe on the uptick for rain chances a little bit throughout the day tomorrow. And then that front is forecast to just stall out over our region here. Sag southward, not too much farther, and that's going to keep our rain chances also in there on Sunday. So 30% on Saturday, about 30% on Sunday, with a brief cool down perhaps next week. Here's what we have to look forward to through the rest of tonight. 71 overnight, pleasant night, and our clouds will fade out later. So if you do get a chance to get out on the town, hey, it's Friday night, right? Looks like you're going to be rain-free for the rest of the evening. Don't forget those southwest winds will be dying down to near calm overnight. For tomorrow, heat returns, 92 degrees. It is game day, so get out there and support those Noles. I'm working on it. What do you think, folks? Well, not yet. Game day, widely scattered showers in the afternoons. North-northwest winds 5 miles per hour. That will turn around when that front goes through, maybe a little gusty in any storms. So be on the lookout tomorrow afternoon. And game day forecast, we zoom right into Doak Campbell Stadium. Well, 92 around kickoff with FSU versus Nevada. That's at 3:30 p.m. Get into those tailgate activities earlier on, of course. Go Noles. Support our Noles here at Doak Campbell Stadium. For the rest of your week, here we go, 7-day forecast. Game day, looking at 92 for a high and 70 for a low. Those rain chances will stick around a little bit into the rest of the week from Monday into Friday, but you do see those 80s begin to creep into the picture. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, highs about 89, lows dipping back down into the 60s. So let's toss it back to the desk, and they're going to wrap it up.
Speaking of wrapping up, a major event happened off Kenosha, Wisconsin's coast in Lake Michigan. And wrapping up, what do you think I meant by that?
Does this have to do with tornadoes?
I think so.
Well, not tornadoes exactly, but water spouts, which are tornadoes over water.
Yes.
And they had twin tornadoes form around 1:30 p.m. yesterday. And some reports even say that they combined into one tornado.
So you mean they were wrapping around each other, you mean, into one funnel?
Exactly,
Wow,
exactly.
very coincidental.
So warmer lake temperatures and colder air above the lake made the air very unstable, which forced that water spout to happen yesterday.
Yes, and severe weather hasn't been a thing. Mainly tornadoes haven't been a big story since around summertime. So the fact that we're still getting them means that, yes, tornadoes can happen at any time with even some different weather chances, such as the lake situation with the warmer lake temperatures. But looking at our 7-day forecast, it looks very warm throughout the rest of the week, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely lower 90s around, and some slight chance of storms for tomorrow's game. Bring a poncho if you are going to the game. Make sure you remember that just in case.
Yes, I've been mentioning umbrellas. Sadly, you can't bring umbrellas into Doak Campbell Stadium. Anyways, you can like us at facebook.com/FSU Weather, follow us on twitter.com/FSU Weather, and you can also watch us anytime at livestream.com/FSU Weather. Well, looks like we're going to wrap up a third time. This has been a fabulous week, Weather. I'm Alex Cordero.
I'm Tawana Andrew. Enjoy your weekend.